Hello everyone, welcome back to the Motor Trade Mentors podcast with David Gott of the Lovely Car Company, myself, Joe Betty of Barrow Motors, and today our special guest is Mark Branton of Bella Autos Limited. Hopefully I've got that right. Mark has written into us via our application form on my website. He's got 3 challenges that he's outlined for us. We'll go through those and then we'll get Mark to introduce himself. So 3 of the things he said is progressing with his business to take the next steps. The next one, sourcing stock. And the third is making the leap of faith, I should say, by changing stock. So thank you for coming on, Mark.
Thank you.
Give us a little 30-second rundown of who you are and tell us about Bella Autos and how it came about.
Okay. So I come from a family, well, a car orientated family. But I was the only one who never actually went into the car trade. I went into the corporate business. And even when I was about 18 plus, I really wanted to go into car sales and everything else. And it's like everybody in the family said, no, don't do it, don't do it. Go and get your job, get your salary every month, don't go into the car sales business. Okay, then. So I worked for different corporate companies, but the last company I worked for was a big American corporate company. And I got made redundant in November last year. My last day was on Friday the 6th. And on Monday the 9th, I set Bella Autos up. And that all came about from, from an epiphany in Nando's. We sat there and the wife said, why your passion is cars. You are kind of always kind of sidetracked selling cars. And she said, why don't you make it official and set Bella Autos up and do it because it's something you love and set it up officially. So that's what I did. Lucky enough, I had the helping hand from a redundancy payout, which gave me the platform to start setting up the business. As we all know, it's buying the laptop, setting up the company, the trade insurance, etc., etc. And I've been running since, well, 9th of November last year. Thing is now, I've got to a point, I've become VAT registered from the 1st of July. And I've got to a point now where, as a business, I'm still kind of stuck where I'm sourcing stock. I'm really only, and if I'm being brutally honest, I'm kind of only getting like 4 or 5 cars in at a time. And there's a quick turnaround. They are selling quickly. And I'm now struggling. I can sometimes maybe only have 1 car in stock. Other times I might have half a dozen. But I'm kind of back to 1 car again, and it's the sourcing of the stock, which I was going to, talk to you guys about, with auctions and sourcing. So yeah, Bella Auto started in November last year.
Brilliant. Um, so let's get down to the nitty. Well, first of all, how has your first year been? How have you found it? And how, if you know, how profitable has it been or not?
On my first set of books with my account, I cut even. I think there might have been a couple £100 loss.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of outlays, obviously things like the cabin. I live in a village just off Junction 13 of the M1, and I'm quite fortunate where I live. I've got premises where I was able to extend the garden, where a gravel drive, etc. And I can get easily 12, 15 cars in here. I had it extended by 100 square meters. And I've got the cabin in the garden, and my walk to work is 50 yards that way, which is luxury because for the last 20 years I've been driving around the country day in, day out. So now my commute to work is a quick walk up the garden.
Yeah,
But
no,
it was
you
all
got an
you need
ideal
to have.
setup there. If you can do that at home and you've saved yourself the overheads right off the bat, that's what you were trying to say with your first place. Well, not your first place, but your last house that you had, Dave, wasn't it? You had a massive garden. You thought, oh, I'll put. Do you know what? Every house I look at, I'm thinking, oh, would I be able to,
Yeah,
put a few cars in?
yeah. You're basically, Mark. You're doing what I wanted to do. But
I
I
watched the last night, and you
yeah
was talking to the guy, and you was having a bit. I think it was you and Joe, and then you had James going. So you were going, "Oh, I wish I could be doing that," and then you were saying, "Oh, I wish I could be doing that."
yeah yeah. So you are, and the thing is, because you've come from the corporate world, I imagine you're really enjoying it at the moment. It's like such a.
Oh,
I bet you've got loads of energy, haven't you? Because it's such
oh, it's
a
a world of
change.
difference. Dave, it's a world of difference. I used to have these anxieties on a Sunday night about, Monday morning, and even things like if you wanted to go to the gym, you had to make sure you're back by 7 a.m. because you knew your email's going to start and your top bosses and your directors going to start contacting you. Now it's a kind of a case of you can do what you want to do. But I say that, I'm working longer hours now than I've ever done. But I love
But
it.
it motivates you when you're doing it for yourself, when you're not doing it for
Oh,
someone else, I think.
100%.
And it's
Yeah,
interesting. What's one of the
100%.
first things? That's the first thing I was thinking when you were telling us your story about how it started is how many people do seem to start out in car sales from a redundancy or whatever, getting sacked. But like 9 times out of 10, a redundancy. And again, Dave said it, and I've said it. This job is like having an element of control. I think it's nice. I think a lot of people are like, do you know what? I'm not doing that again. I'm gonna take things into my own hands, and car sales seems to be something that a lot of people end up doing.
What really helped me was I got that cash injection from the redundancy, and very supportive wife, very supportive family and friends who are all, I've got friends who are mechanics and everything else because again, from that family background. So I had a step in the door with setting it up, but I could never do it while I was working full time in the corporate world. And then this cash injection came along, and with the support of my wife as well, I was able to set Bella Autos up officially.
And if you don't mind me asking back, how much have you put into the business?
So far, about 40,000.
That's great. And how much is your stock worth?
At this present, at
Yeah,
the moment,
like
I'm
trade value.
literally 15,000.
50. Oh, so you've got a spare bit.
Yeah,
So you need to be buying cars. You've got the money there to
absolutely.
buy the extra cars.
Absolutely. I mean, I went through August, and again, your podcasts, etc., are brilliant. Your videos are great because it explains. And I thought I was the only one going through August, and it'd been a tough spell because it's my first year of doing it. And I'm learning the curves. I'm trying to spend this year learning the curves of trends of buying and, seasonal, if you want to put it that way. I mean, I had a bumper through Christmas and January. I thought it'd be really tough, and I had a bumper time.
Yeah.
And then up, through till March. Oh, no, sorry, it was quietened off then till March. Summer's been okay, and then August has hit, and it's just
Yeah.
there's hardly,
Well,
it's
look,
been one a
it's
week.
same for us. I mean, we've got 40 cars advertised on Auto Trade. I'm looking at board. We sold 13 cars last month. That's not. But the thing is, you've got to tell your brain it's August. It's not going to be busy. You might get lucky one year and you have a busy August, but because we've all got this mentality. The hardest thing about this job is it's a lonely job, and you're on your own. And when you have the bad months, your brain's like, oh God, this is terrible. It's never going to come back. We're going to go bankrupt. You've got to train your brain in like this. So this shall pass. This shall pass, and then the
Uh,
next
I
month.
think that was one of the benefits, again, from your videos and your podcasts, etc., when you talked about the mental health. And there are times when you're sitting here all day, and I've gone from like managing 50 people, whatever it is, and talking to people every day to a point when you're on your own. And you kind of sit here and you kind of go 12 hours tapping away on the laptop trying to find cars and everything. You kind of go, "Hey, it's a bit lonely." You kind of go, is it all right? Then you start buying things. I won't say a name, but the music system and stuff like that. But quite happy. I being your own boss. It's a world of difference.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's keeping busy though. Like the quiet months at the minute, you've got to keep the wheels turning. So if you're quiet, to be fair, I would have been trying to buy as many cars as possible, and this is what you find. So what are you buying? Just predominantly from the auctions online? Where are
Well,
you buying from?
mainly private sales. Your auto traders, all your platforms. Your gum trees, everything else, anything. Word of mouth has been really good. I live in a village, and word of mouth gets around really quickly, and people recommend cars, and Ethel, 78-year-old Ethel's got a little 1.4 Corsa for sale. I'm straight there on it. Um, I've been to the auctions, and again, it was going to be one of my questions. I've been to the auctions and kind of been a novice, and I've seen this so many times on your podcast, and you must get bored of answering the same questions. But I've joined BCA Mannheim's, which is in Northampton, which is quite local for me. Um, Aston Barclay,
Yeah.
but that's quite a trek for me. That's like an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes away. Um, but when I've gone in there, they've given me quite a good, I've had the chat with a guy behind the counter and I've got quite a good commission rate. But the cars I'm looking at buying, and I am at the moment literally anything under a 1.4, I'm going for the market of your first time drivers. And my cars have mainly been purchased by the bank of mum and dad.
Showing your website now, Mark. Because when I first looked at this just before we came on, I was like, bloody hell, he's got more than I thought. Because I clicked on your,
I know I did.
and I was like, and I realised a lot of them were all sold.
But I kind of put that there so that you could see the type of cars
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm selling, or Joe Public can see the type of cars I'm selling. They're all
Yeah.
under a 1.4.
Yeah. Which is great, and you know what? I think Joe, well, me and Joe were the same. We started off selling these types of cars. It's sort of, you don't want to go in too risky, do you, buying all the lumpy stuff. And you're going to build your confidence as you go along. But the problem with the low risk cars, it's low reward. So give it. If you're still selling these cars in 2 years, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's lots of traders that do make money out of these cars, but it's all on volume. So you're going to need 50, 60 of these cars to make a living.
I know.
That's going to be your
And I
problem.
think that was my question about sourcing the cars, because I've hit a point now whereby it's paying the salary, it's paying the bills, but I need to make that leap. Do I make that leap of faith now on what's my next step? With do I go into the market of more prestige cars? Do I look at estate cars? Do I look at SUVs? Do I look at 4x4s? It's about making that leap of faith.
The good thing about these sorts of cars, Dave, is why we started selling them. Is generally, if you're priced right, they sell quick, and
They
they're
do.
not that. So and that's really, I think that's important to take note of if people are listening and they're thinking, oh well, they're always saying you should buy stuff with bigger margins. I don't think me or Dave would say that's what you should start out with. BMs and German stuff like this stuff's great to start with. But what is your sort of margin you're aiming for out of a car, especially if you're buying it privately? If you're
Between a
happy to say.
thousand and fifteen, £1,500 per car,
Okay.
to be
Well, if you can
honest.
get that, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. If you can get that,
Hence
because
what I'm averaging about anywhere around 20% per car.
yeah. And I bet that's because you're buying them private as well, isn't it? That you're getting that margin out
Absolutely.
of
And then
them.
doing the deal and being nice to them, and, and hopefully getting the price knocked down. Or people looking for quick sales or word of mouth. They don't want the aggravation of advertising. They don't want loads of people coming around the house.
Yeah,
And, if
Yeah.
I can make a phone call and turn up on the door, especially if it's word of mouth, and introduce myself, or, somebody's, oh, this is Mark, he's interested in your car.
yeah,
They're they're the diamonds in the rough,
yeah.
but they're rare. They're not every day. They're not 10 of them in the yard.
Exactly. That's it. And then the other thing is you're so busy sourcing cars. See, this is what seems to be a problem, isn't it? You're sourcing the cars. It's taken too long, and you've not got the stock there. So for
Absolutely.
me, you need a constant. For me, in my head, I need a constant 50 in stock and 40
Yeah.
advertised all the time. So at the minute, you haven't got the stock, have you? If you've got no, if you're not filling up the shelves, you're not making any money. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was that. This is my concern, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, my saviour would be I'll go to the auctions and end up buying numerous amounts of cars. But when I watch them going through the auctions, and then I'm watching them getting bidded up, and then when I have my commission fee and everything else and whatever little bits it needs on it, I look at the car and think I'm going to earn 300 quid out of it.
yeah,
Yeah. That is the problem with that type of stuff at auction. So I think rather than let's just have a look at your questions that you were saying is about making the leap of faith by changing your stock. I wouldn't change it. I would try and get more of that if you
yeah,
can,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
add in a little bit of something else, just to those red letter days when you have a bit of a better, maybe like a £2,000 or £3,000 margin. But the biggest issue so far, I take it you're doing this all on your lonesome.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's
Have you
gonna
got?
that's gonna slow you down straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what is your physically closest auction? Today's podcast is sponsored by Vehicle Score. If you haven't heard me talk about Vehicle Score before, it is the free car checking website where you can get a score on your car based on its age, MOT history, mileage, and many other factors. All you have to do is head to vehiclescore.co.uk, enter your registration. I'm going to use the registration of a Vivaro van that I have, and we're going to check that and see how it scores. Ours is 804 out of 999, absolutely amazing. There is loads of information on here, from the tax status, whether it's ULEZ compliant, whether it's currently got MOT, the vehicle performance, the insurance group. You can check out the MOT history, but most importantly, whether you're a dealer or you're just buying a car for yourself, you want to do a background check on that car, and they can do them for as little as less than a coffee. £2.95 for the salvage report, £8.95 for the ultimate report, and £11.95 for the Ultimate Plus report, which is the one that I highly recommend. Don't forget to use my code SHIFTINGMetal20. You'll get 20% off, making that just £9.58. And it will tell you an awful lot of things about that car that you're going to want to know before you hand over your hard-earned cash. Whether it's been an import and export, whether it's been seen at a salvage auction, whether it's got finance against it, whether it's been an insurance write-off and has got a category against it, whether it's been an ex-taxi, stolen, scrapped, colour change, whether it's been seen to be clocked, and many, many other things. So if you are looking to spend your hard-earned cash, make sure you don't just buy it, Vehicle Score it.
I'd say Mannheim's in Northampton.
Can I just say one thing as
Um,
well, Mark? Mannheim, Northampton, that's a brilliant auction. I've had so many good cars from that auction.
I like it there. I get on great with the
Yeah.
guys behind the counter. Made a bit of a rapport with a few of the dealers and stuff there. And it is literally 30, 40 minutes up the road from me. Aston Barclay down in Chelmsford's. It used to, I think it still starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, but that's like leaving at 6:30 in the morning to get down there and miss the traffic and stuff.
Don't worry about any of that
BCA
for
in,
now. Stick with the place that's close by. When you're on your
Definitely.
own, time is
Definitely.
money. And
Yeah.
for
yeah,
me, having BCA Bridgewater 10 minutes up the road, I would go and buy 10 cars in a day and we spend the afternoon driving
Yeah.
them back individually. That
yeah,
time is
yeah,
money. So when you're on your own, especially, at the stage where I am now, I'm quite happily send a lad off up to where you are, and even stay him over in a hotel if I know there's money in it. But if that was
Yeah.
me doing it on my own, there's absolutely no hope in hell. So
Yeah.
BCI Mannheim, was it Northampton? That's where you're
yeah,
concentrating from now on, I would say.
yeah, it is. And that is the one. I
Studying it.
was going down to Chelmsford. Then I
Yeah.
got the account with Mannheim, and that's the one I'm now literally just forward and backwards every Tuesday and Thursday.
But just do that every Tuesday, Thursday. Get yourself down there. And then for the ones that are further away, what I'd do is I would do proxy bids. So I would get up early on the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then narrow down all the cars that you really like on your search on Mannheim, so Aston Barclay. And then I'd just put a load of proxy bids, because if you put like 10 proxy bids out there, it's highly likely you might not get anything, but you might get one or two, you see.
I've put
So,
about 8 in this morning with G3 before I've come on here. I'll just go through and put them in. And do you know what? If I bought all 8, I wouldn't have the money at the
I
minute,
know,
probably.
yeah.
But I won't.
Yeah, you
But
just know, don't you,
numbers
Joe?
game.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then if
That
you
kind of
did get them all, though, what
links
would you do?
that links me to a question. The cars on. I mean, if you see the ones I'm selling, they're literally below 60,000 miles. Generally, have a really good service history and low mileage. And touch wood, they're not causing me any problems. And they're sold with a 3-month warranty. But when I look at the ones going through the auctions, they can be like 3, 4 owners, 70 odd thousand miles more. And I suppose this is the reason why I asked you guys, do these cars still sell when they've got 4, 5 owners, 70, 80,000 miles?
Yeah.
Are they
Are
still
people
going out the
buying them at
door?
auction?
Yeah, if I go and buy them auction, put them, do what I got to do.
There you go.
No, I'm just saying, if other people are buying them at auction, they're going somewhere. They're not there buying
Exactly.
them for
Yeah,
themselves. I
I
promise
know.
you. We've said it before. Some people are going to turn up, and especially maybe your sort of stuff. Well, not necessarily, especially any type of car. They will turn up and be like, "How many owners has it got?" All this sort of stuff, blah blah. And it happened with me in the trade. I'll send on leads that I've got for buying stuff, and I'll send it to someone else, and I'll be like, "That's right up his street," and they'll say, "Oh no, it's had 4 owners in its 6 years. Not for me." and it doesn't even enter my head half the time. Because yes, there will be people who are like, "Oh no, that's not quite right for me." Next person will come along and they're not interested whatsoever. You know,
I suppose because when I'm looking at the cars which I have sell really quickly, I think the longest car I've had sits around for about 24 days, 25 days. They sell in within a week or two. I don't have to put an auto trader or an advert on for longer than 2 weeks. They're going. But I think my concern was, am I ending up with a bunch of stock here, which is going to be here for 6 months, 9 months because it's got no service history or it's got 5 owners? Or
yeah,
in your
you don't have
experience,
to
do
buy
they
that
do
sort of
they
stuff.
still
You can
just
still
fly
buy
out the
nicer
door?
examples, but stuff that's got slightly more miles on it or slightly more owners or whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, sometimes there might be a reason, but 9 times out of 10 there probably won't be. It At the end of the day,
Because
there's only
my
so many
customer,
cars out there and so many cars for you to be able to buy and sell. You can't pick. We'd all have like a dream car probably in mind. I'd have like a 30,000 mile Range Rover Sport, like we've just
yeah,
sold, and it had 8 grand profit in it. I'd have a forecourt full of them, and people would keep turning up every day. Someone would buy one every day, and I'd be retired next year. But
well,
you you can't.
It
It
doesn't
just
work
doesn't
like
work.
that, does
There
it?
aren't
No,
that many of them.
no.
There aren't that many people for that car. So if you, this is the sort of thing it's easy mistakes. 100% I've made before. You buy something, it might be a bit obscure, or it might be run of the mill, and it sells like that. And
yeah,
then you think,
yeah,
I need to buy another one, 100% immediately, and then it will sit there forever because you've saturated the
Yeah,
market already. There was one person for that car,
yeah,
they bought it, and that's
yeah,
it. It's done now. So
yeah, yeah. I think you've
you
got
need a
yeah.
mix. You need a mix, I think.
you need a mix. You got to spread it about because, as well, like say you get a C-Max 7-seater in, if that's got 100,000 on, I don't care because I know it's going to sell straight away if I've bought it at the right money.
I sold a friend of mine in the village said, "Oh, would you sell a car for me?" I said, "Yeah, I'll sell it, but it's kind of in a way not sell it on your behalf." And it was like 120,000 mile Ford Cougar or whatever the big one is, and I put that on just Facebook Marketplace, which is a shark pit in my opinion, but it's absolutely scammerville. But the phone went off the hook. I mean, I put it on Saturday morning; it was gone by 1 o'clock. So then there was a bit of me going, why am I buying 30, 40,000 mile Corsas, Agos, etc.? Why don't I just get a fleet of 120,000 mile Fords?
Like
Yeah,
what
you
And
Joe
there
can go
was,
said.
the opposite way. As long as
Yeah,
you get good ones. But yeah, the thing with I always found with I used to love high mileage stuff. I'd buy like Merc Estates on 180,000 miles,
yeah.
160,000 miles, because you pick them up for a couple of grand, you can sell them for 4.5. Because still at
so
four and a
you're that
half,
guy in the
a low
auction when
mileage
I'm
one,
watching the car.
huh?
When I'm in the auction then and I see that car go past 150,000 mile, you're the guy buying it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at least I was certainly at one point,
yeah,
because there's money in it. I don't care what it is. It could
exactly.
be a
Yeah.
it could be a Kenwood kitchen blender for all I care. If I know I can make 2.5 grand on it, I'm gonna go for it.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Um,
the problem you've got, Mark, at the minute is when you're going to the auction, you're wanting all the stuff that everybody else wants.
I
because
know,
it's
I
less it's
know.
less headache stuff, but it is just it's
It's low risk, low reward.
yeah
You can
yeah.
see
It's
it
like
when the
trying to
cars come through. Everybody just jumps on it and I kind of
Yeah.
go, I'm not gonna get this.
And then people you're bidding against, they might have like a pitch with 100 cars on, so they can work on them small margins because they've got all the add-ons and all that type of stuff. So I think you've got to be a little bit more. You've just got to have a little bit of a spread. A bit. You've got to have a couple of cars with a nice big chunky margin in them, but still sell the cars that you're selling. Main thing is you need cars. That's what you need.
yeah.
Yeah, I do. I
You
need the
need them.
stock.
Yeah.
Because
My
they're going out the door quick enough. It's just I can't. There's nothing like you said earlier to backfill the shelves with.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I haven't
Well, if
got them there, I
you've got
can't
the
sell them.
space, which is the biggest
Yeah,
number one hurdle dealt with, and you've got your place, and there's no overheads. One thing that I was
yeah,
thinking earlier when you were talking about you're trying to figure out like the seasons and how stuff goes and whatever, and we all try and figure it out to a degree, or at least I used to. I used to think, because in January you can't buy anything for a sensible price at auction, And I was like, I'll stock up massively in December so that when it comes
Yeah.
around in January, I'll be ahead of the game and I'll have the stock. Everyone else does exactly the same, so you can't do that either. I think what's more important is Dave will say it. What is it? Analysis paralysis. Don't worry about it. What you need to do is
Do it.
ensure that you're busy. You need to
Yeah.
be busy. So if you've got a load of stock but no one's ringing, you're prepping it and you're getting more in and you're chasing up
Yeah,
more leads
yeah.
and whatever. And if you are busy selling, great, you're busy selling, and
Yeah.
you're not worried about being quiet. But
Joe, so it just come to me there. You know when you used to go to the auction, look at cars. Did you used to do this where you'd have a list of all the cars that you liked, or you get the catalogue and you'd circle everything, and you'd go on Auto Trade and you work out, and you'd have like 20 cars at the auction, and then you'd go there and you wouldn't get anything. But then some would just go past that you didn't have on your wish list
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
whatnot, and you'd be like, that's nice, that, and you get a little gut feeling about it, and then you bid on it, you get it, and then you sell it straight away. So don't
Some of the best cars you get, isn't it? I think that's one of the things I miss about the
the
physical
auction.
auctions. Exactly like you say,
Yeah,
it will come up and you'll be like, "Oh, what's that?" Like, just because if you've read through a catalogue or you've seen, VW Polo, it looks a bit boring or whatever it is, But actually, when it comes through, it looks really tidy, it looks really nice. And you're like, "Oh, that would be lovely. That'd be so easy to sell. That would
yeah.
go so quickly." And then you realise So yeah, go into the physical auctions, especially when you're starting out. And
I
like you've
did
said
that
before, Dave,
last.
is getting amongst people and see what they're doing as well. So I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah. You learn
Did it
so much
last
going
week.
the auction. You learn
I do.
loads.
I love going to the auctions. I really do. And again, I saying just as you were saying, Dave. I have my list. I have all the cars circled, everything else done, all the checks on them, everything else. And then in the corner, I saw like 70,000 mile, whatever it was, because I had a cut off for like 60,000 mile. But I saw like a 70 or 1,000 mile Skoda Yeti 4x4, and I was like, well, that would fit in where I live in the in the countryside. I think it even had a tow bar. I thought somebody will have that, even if they're going to tow a horse box. But when it came to the rostrum, everybody else has got the same idea, and I just got
Yeah,
bidded
'cause
up,
it's
bidded
a
up, bidded
Yeti.
up, and I was like, okay,
you've got to pick. You're not going to get all of them, are you? I mean,
Nah.
I used to go there and used to have some right sort of passive aggressive battles with people, and you'd be bidding away, and and they'd win it in the end for way more than you'd ever want to pay,
Yeah.
and they'd go past like chuckling at you, and it was all a bit
And no, but
dark.
no, the only person who's winning is the auction. And then the auctioneer will
Yeah.
go, the auctioneer will say, well won, sir. And then you're like, oh, fuck, I've just paid far too much for that car.
Yeah,
Like,
and
no.
they're congratulating you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to pick and choose among them. And the other thing I would say, and I don't know if you agree, Dave, is certainly when you're starting out, if it's like this time of year and it's really hard to bid on stuff, and you might say, I want 1,500 quid out of this thing, ideally. If you can't buy anything, and you really can't buy anything, and you've been doing it for 2 weeks, and you're frustrated, and you can't buy anything, take a grand profit. I'd rather have a
Yeah.
grand profit,
Yeah.
100% of a grand profit, than 0% of a £1,500 profit. Just let's get some turning over, and it will come right. Let's have some money ticking in.
How many
absolutely.
times have
I'd
we
rather
said, Joe, you've got to keep the cash flow and keep the business growing. You've got no overheads. Just
yeah.
just get, because the thing is, you'll get part exchanges, them cars that you haven't got big margins in. But if it's 60,000 miler, but then you might get a lovely part X with 70,000 that you can sell for 3 grand. You'll sell it straight away. Just keep the
Yeah.
wheels turning, Mark.
I'd rather have 5 cars with 300 quid in them per week and just keep that money coming in until the nicer ones come through.
Yeah,
It's just, I found August really difficult. I don't know. Obviously, everybody was on holiday. It seems like, when you look through Auto Trader and that, there wasn't a lot of cars coming up. And then when I do look on Auto Trader, and again, I suppose this is a question, when I do look on Auto Trade, especially as the months have been going on while I've been in this business, is customers now seem to be trying. Does Auto Trader recommend the prices to the customers? They seem to be recommending them at retail at dealer money.
What, the part exchange?
No, when they're putting adverts on. So
oh, you
Joe
mean the
Public puts an advert
private
on.
sellers?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but look, I'm learning this myself because we've been buying a lot of private stuff. They'll stick it on at retail, but then
Yeah,
after 2 weeks, they're not going to sell it, and they're going to get twitchy bum time, and they're like, "Oh my God, why haven't I sold it?" And then you can bid them what you want to pay for it.
that's what I do. I have them all saved, give them a couple of weeks. But it seems they just go straight on with at dealer prices.
Yeah,
And you
Yeah,
kind of
I
go,
think
well,
Auto
that
Trader
shouldn't
probably
be at
tells
that
them the
value.
retail price.
yeah,
It's a bit like estate agents, isn't it? It's like, yeah, your house is
Yeah,
worth 400 grand, and when it comes to it, they're like, well, we might have to discount it a little bit to 350 now.
yeah,
It
yeah,
gets you on the
yeah.
platform, doesn't it? It gives gets you signed up to them.
yeah.
Um,
But I
that's
think
it.
with you, Mark, it's going to be a lot of hard work buying them privately like that because it takes up a lot of your time
It
ringing,
does. It
driving.
does.
You just need to get a Northampton auction, and once you buy them, once you buy one car that morning, you win one bid. It's like you said, breaking the seal when you've had a pint. You've been drinking lager, and then you go for a wee, and then you can't stop weeing. It's the same. Once you buy your first car at 10 o'clock, you're away with it. You'll buy five straight away.
Yeah, I think I've just been hesitant with it, to be brutally honest, because all my sales have been private or, I mean, I went to do, I went to buy a car privately last week, a Suzuki Swift, and I had to back out of it because when I got there, the guy suddenly was selling it on behalf of his cousin, and I was like, okay, are you a trader? No, 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 it's my cousin's car. I was like, right, okay. I had this much folder of history and everything else. But when we came to do the transfer on DVLA, he suddenly said, oh, I know, I made up a dealer account and he didn't want the car in his name anymore. And I went onto DVLA and made up a such, I won't say his name, but such and such cars. And I'm like, right, hang on, because I haven't done a lot of trade to trade, and I thought I know you have to get a photograph of their driving license and blah blah blah. But yeah, it just had loads of you know red
Red
markers
flags,
against it,
warning
and I was
bells.
like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I mean,
Go with your gut in it, Joe.
yeah, go with your gut. But I mean, sometimes I've done that before, and you've gone, you're like, this guy's a trader, and he's saying he's not a trader. But you look at the car, and you're like, well, I'm happy with it. I think he's just telling me he's not a trader because he thinks I'm going to be put off by that. I couldn't care less, as long
Yeah.
as I think the car's okay and it's
I
not
mean,
bent
this
and
this car
whatever.
had been. He was a trader.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Which
There's
I mean,
nothing
some
wrong with that.
traders might be getting
unofficial
rid of stuff
trader.
just because they can't sell it or it's over
Yeah.
age. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean
Mm.
it's knackered and they're trying to punt it onto someone else. I mean, sometimes it will be, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
go with your
When
gut.
it came
But
to the DVLA part, he went white as a ghost, and then it all started getting. And I started going, well, hang on, there's some markers here. This I had to
Yeah.
walk
yeah,
away from it in the end.
yeah, yeah, that's
I
fair
just
enough.
again, it was just on gut instinct.
Yeah. Definitely go
But the
with your
car was
gut.
immaculate, and it was like it was all the things I do when I'm cleaning a car. And I thought, Joe Public when they lift the bonnet, you can see the cobwebs and everything. You go, that car's never been touched. This
Yeah,
one
yeah.
looked like it
Oh,
was
you can
going
normally
into a
tell on Facebook
concourse.
Marketplace if it's a trader because it's got floor mats in and it's got tags on the keys and it's got
Yeah.
both keys on the key
That's it.
ring and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Um,
How long you own the car?
I think you've dodged a bullet there. I think there could have been
Yeah, I
something
do.
wrong with that car. There's
yeah.
some mechanical
There
issue.
was there was something, Dave, and I was like, oh, do I? Don't I? And it was like 3.5, 4 grand, and I was like, nah, can't
Yeah.
afford to lose that.
That is the positive of going to the auction. That's what we pay our indemnity for, is they're all
Yeah,
HPI cleared. And now you get mechanical reports with them, and once you know in the cars that you're buying and the ones to steer clear of,
yeah,
you'll be fine.
Do you know, after the
yeah.
run
It's
of some of the
definitely
part
the way
exchanges
forward.
we've
But
had and some of the cars we've bought privately, I trust the auctions more now, and that is saying something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I
definitely.
was listening to. Was it that Jeep with the fish on the back and stuff like that?
yeah, 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 that was a good one. But yeah, there's all sorts, you know. It's always the ones you don't expect, the little old lady or something,
Ah,
or
no, yeah. Yeah,
um,
we've got one at the minute, a Focus Eco Boost that needs the engine replacing, and it was an old lady who lives up this road who we bought it from, and it had full history and all that. See, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I
no.
know, I know, I
I
know.
wanted to ask you, where are you advertising currently?
Mainly just on Auto Trader, and then my website, Facebook, and then the Instagram as well.
Yeah. Facebook probably works quite well for you at the size you're
It
at.
does. Yeah, from
Um,
my location and everything, it works. They're selling. They're
yeah, I
selling.
mean, it's Facebook Marketplace is like the easy, like the biggest. It must be like the biggest marketplace to get directly to buyers,
Yeah.
but
And do you pay for
nightmare.
that then, Mark? Do you pay for the marketplace? Can you boost it or do you just post it?
On Facebook Marketplace,
Yeah.
I don't use it.
Oh, you don't
Oh, you
use.
know.
All
I
right.
don't use Facebook Marketplace. I think it's a shark pit. I think it's just full of scammers.
Right.
And then when you
Yeah,
do see a deal, I mean, I've been not long enough, but I'm experienced enough to know when you look at a car and then you visit their profile and it's Ethel Jones and she's got 15 AMG Mercedes, you kind of go,
yeah.
it's a
I mean, there's
scam.
plenty. It is like just riddled. I think I did a video on it, riddled with scammers, but
Yeah.
for selling. And you'll get scammers as well if you're trying to sell on Facebook Marketplace. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm interested in a car. I'll pay you a deposit. Can you just do this car check for me?" And they'll
Yeah.
That's
send
it.
you a
That was the
link.
first one I had when I put it on. First
Yeah,
one. Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
click this link and pay 19.99. I was like, no, that's your job. And then I thought, hang on, I'm being scammed.
Do you know
yeah.
that there's a trader who was at the bottom of my road? He's just moved. He's got a bigger pitch now. It was called Shuttlewood Motors. I forget. He's changed his name now to like Chesterfield Cars. I can't remember what is it something, but he put all his cars on Facebook, and I don't know if it's been true or not, but one bank holiday weekend, he reckoned he'd sold 30 cars over the weekend through Facebook Marketplace.
I could believe it. Talking about going to the auctions and stuff. When I started out, I was buying cars for £100 that had 80 quid of indemnity on, or fees or whatever. Had no cost to get them back. It was literally a 5 minute drive up the road. So chuck the tray plates on them, and they were all just like these. We market them as like trade part X, whatever, and it'd be like
Yeah,
600 quid.
yeah,
You're making 400 quid a car or whatever, and I'd easily do 10 on a Saturday, like
yeah.
no problem. And that was all just advertised on Facebook Marketplace. I was having it away. I thought I was gonna, I was proper Del Boy. I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire next year doing this. Um,
eBay's been quite good. I've had a few off eBay because obviously people would rather pay the £30 for 30 days to advertise a car than, I think the one I just bought, the low mileage Corsa, I think the guy pays like £75 for 4 weeks and he only had it on
I
and
don't
I
do
can't get
anything
it.
on eBay. I struggled big time because I've
I
cars
struggle with
on there
selling.
forever.
I've tried it, and I really struggled. But then I put my son's AMG Merc on there, and I was just flooded. But it was
Yeah.
just like the wrong characters wanting the car,
That was
and
what
it
I
was.
used to have when I used to put classified ads on there. It was all people who were like making you stupid offers. But I mean, I did used to just exclusively advertise on eBay at one point, and obviously I did okay. It did very well out of it, really.
Yeah.
But you do get a lot of just the idiots off making stupid offers or offering you an Xbox in part exchange or a gold ring or
Oh
something.
God, yeah. I think the AMG was valued at about 7 grand, and it was getting. Well, I'll come around with 3 grand cash now.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you're okay.
That's the
Yeah.
same with Facebook Marketplace, but then they're both like mass markets. If you got the patience, which I most definitely do not, to pick through those thingies, you will sell stuff quite quickly, but it is a bit of a nuisance. Um, being in a The other thing for you with your type of stuff, like I said, you've been buying stuff locally anyway. Are you like advertising in little like local gazettes or anything like that?
No, there isn't really anything like that anymore, to be honest. I found Facebook works and using the local, the village
Yeah.
groups and posts and stuff like that, because there is always someone looking for their daughter's 17-year-old daughter's first car. So I do put them into the local village groups locally.
I mean, I'm oh, sorry, I probably didn't make that clear. I've just scattered off in my brain to thinking about buying stock rather than selling. I don't know if you put anything in, like if say there is like I mean, round here it's called like I don't know, local reach or something. So I advertise in that, and obviously they come to the garage, Barrow Motors. But I was like, yeah, I'll advertise, but it doesn't say anything about Barrow Motors. Well, it does. It says Barrow Motors, but it's like we'll buy your car because that's the hardest part. If I'm going to advertise, I'd rather. I'm not going to sell a car to someone in a magazine, but someone might sell me their car. So like, there's a guy that will buy my car. So That's been all right. I mean, that's worth doing because it's only like 40 quid for the year or something. But yeah, I would do with your Facebook. I know you're saying you're posting on groups and stuff, but when I started Cars Bought for More, I would just do Instagram. Maybe take a picture of a car and just be like, "We bought this from so and so and managed to pay more or whatever. We'd love to buy your low mileage, small engine car." And just do like a little. I never used to spend much on Facebook advertising. Just make it really local, so you're kind of concentrated on the people who are local, so it's easy to collect them and go and see them.
Google Ads wasn't too bad as well, Mark, because Google Ads you can pinpoint the postcodes that you want advertising. So if you know there's a good postcode near you, and then you can pinpoint, we will buy your car, all that type of stuff. So that used to, it cost about 100 quid a month, but you'll definitely get leads from that buying. But again, for you in the beginning, it's going to be easier going to the auction.
Yeah,
You
I was going
have
to say,
bite the bullet.
me and Dave would probably say it's like these little buying things. They're the little gems, the little cherry on the cake.
Yeah.
But if you want to do volume and you want to make some money, then you've got to be. And it's funny, isn't it? Because everyone's like, "Oh, this car hasn't come from auction, has it?" It's like, yeah, it has. Like 95% of other cars in the retail sector have. They've gone through an auction at some point.
Of course.
But yeah,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 100%. I look at it I'm on there virtually every day looking what stock they've got going through on a Tuesday and a Thursday because that's the days for me up the road. And it'd be one of the first things I do when we finish the vlog.
that's your challenge, Mark. Is you need to buy something next week
Yeah,
or this week. I guess you got this week, but
that's it.
and even if you think it's going to be a bit of a smaller margin, and
Yeah.
just work it out in your head, worst case scenario, because I know it is a bit daunting buying your first ones from auction.
Yeah.
What's the worst case scenario that it needs an engine or whatever? You can probably, I might at worst case scenario lose 500 quid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's unlikely you will. That's the risk you've got to take, and then it just gets easier. But like Dave says, you've got to break the seal.
Yeah. And
I do.
Joe, the characters at the auction, I always remember this bloke, and he would stand just in one place. You'd never know he was there. He'd be just right quiet. And you could tell he was looking at the catalogue, and he was just waiting for them little ones that didn't go over the reserve. He was just so quiet. And then, because people do miss cars, you see. It's not like every car hits the reserve. There's loads of cars that don't. So when you go to the auction, don't be like walking about and like being all like this bloke. He was so clever. He'd stand in the corner, just really quiet. And then when a car did come through that people weren't going mad for, you'd then see his little hand go up and he'd bid. And then he'd nick the car, That's it. It's like, it's an art form going to the auction. The worst thing is going when you're green and you're new and everyone's like, oh, he's new. It's like new, what's the word?
Fresh meat.
Yeah, fresh meat.
I was really
The auctioneer though, isn't it? It's fresh meat for auctioneer.
I've always been to the auctions, and I went to the auctions with my uncle as a kid. So he was selling cars for the auction. So it wasn't just walking in there totally. I'm quite comfortable in there, and the process and everything else. It's just when it's come to the actual bidding on it, I kind of get that last minute go, oh no, it won't be worth it. But I think that's the leap of faith of going.
Yeah,
right,
I think
yes,
you've got to do
right,
if you're thinking, oh, I wanted, like I said, ideally I'd like $1,000 out of this car, but this one I'd only get 700 quid or whatever it is. I'd rather have 1,500 quid, but I'm going to get $1,000.
Yeah.
Let's have that and let's have something to do tomorrow.
rather
than sitting around, feeling rubbish that I haven't got something. I'm going to have some money out of it.
Yeah.
And it's
700 quid at the end of the day.
Exactly.
That's the way I look at it.
When you're starting out, definitely. I mean, I still take it if it was free.
Flipping heck. Definitely. And like when we went up to the auction, Joe. Sorry, Matt. When we went to the auction that day, and we were just ticking off all the cars, weren't we? We had no emotion to the cars, did we?
No.
We just I got that Mini, and I made profit out of that Mini. I had a great, and it just turned up. It wasn't like. I think the problem you're having, Mark, is you're just doing too much. Analysis paralysis. I need this and I need that, and it's got to be less mileage, and it's got to be this. It's got to be. In the beginning, it doesn't matter. Honestly, you can just get them cars. If I'd want 12 cars there all the time. I'd have a tight chest if I didn't have 12 cars there all the time.
Yeah, you need to be like
So
maximising on. Otherwise, well, currently you got what 3 cars? Did you say currently live at the minute? It looks like.
yeah,
So you're running at like 20% capacity, aren't you?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which yeah, you
I
need
just,
to
I'm
be.
just need to, and it was like from today, it was like I just need to get stock in again. Away we go again. You know,
Yeah.
I'll get a couple a week, but then I'm really quite fortunate whereby I'll put them on eBay, eBay Auto Trader, and then they would sell on that
Yeah,
Saturday
but
or
then Mark,
Sunday, which is
you're probably selling them too cheap if they're selling this quick. So maybe you need to put the prices up a little bit more, and then it'll help you restock.
I thought I was pricing them right, whereby, and I've done that, Dave, where I've put the prices up on them, and I thought, well, I can sit on them for longer, but they just sat around and they just didn't seem to sell. Knock it down by a couple £100 or whatever, and then they seem to go out the door again.
Yeah.
It's just trying to get my right pricing
It's
on
different
the cars.
everywhere and whatever. And just for curiosity, though, because I think you should do however you feel comfortable to start off with, to a degree. But you can fine tune at a later point. Ones that hung around for a while. How long are we talking?
Longest one about 8 weeks,
Okay.
See, that's
six to
quick
eight
for
Yeah,
me.
weeks. I know, and I know what you're going to say now.
yeah. I mean, for us,
No,
that's
that's
not the
like in and
longest.
out. That.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I knew
That's
you
a
was going to
really
say
nice,
it. I
healthy
should have said a
turnover.
year or so. I ain't even been trading a year.
Yeah, I should have a look at
Bugger.
my. I'll have a look at my portal now, and I'll.
Yeah, I've got one that's been there for 1,000 days.
Is that leaf?
No, it's the mini, the little, the mini.
Oh, the
Classic,
old ones.
classic. I've got
Classic.
a
Yeah.
classic mini. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I got cars. Oh, that one shouldn't be because I think that one's sold. 195 days on a van. 144 days on a mini club van.
Yeah.
I got 97 days on a Range Rover Sport, but that's because it was sat around for a couple of months waiting to get worked on. But yeah, I mean, yeah, if all of my cars sold like consistently at like 60 days,
Yeah.
I'd be in heaven.
Same.
I'd be in
I
heaven.
will be. When
I
Nick was
know.
like the other day, he was like, "Oh, my average turnover is 28 days," and I'm like, "Flipping it! Why can't mine be like that?" So it's different for
It was
everyone.
the
But
one I watched. I think that's the one I watched yesterday, and he said about it. It was like 24 or 28 days.
yeah, that's it. That's
And I
it.
was
But
like,
what you
wow.
find is the more cars you have, the less stressed you
The
are about
worry.
selling them quick. So that's what you need. You need to get the stock up there. So then you'll stop focusing. Oh God, I haven't sold this car within 2 weeks because you'll be
Yeah.
busy anyhow. You'll be picking one off at a time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when you're busy and you're still selling them, that one can wait. It still says it's a good price. It's still getting interest. Yes, it's been here for 8 weeks at this point, but we're going to give it till 12 weeks before we really like think about doing something different. You can do little slight price adjustments, but even like 50 quid or 100 quid, you'd be surprised at the interest that drums up because a lot of people, eBay and Auto Trader will have that car. Nick said it last week in our podcast. People usually spend a week or two coming back to a car, looking at other cars, thinking about it. Am I going to buy a car? Am I not? And then they'll come back to it and they've got it in their watch list. And I do it with all sorts of stuff, stupid watches I shouldn't buy and stuff like that. I'll keep it in my watch list. I've got an awful habit of wanting to buy stuff. So I will keep an eye on it and I'll wait at least 3 weeks to buy any kind of like impromptu purchase that I don't need. If I still want it in 3 weeks, I'll buy it. If not, I don't. But anyway, I digress. But if you do a little price adjustment, they'll get a notification. That car you're watching has just gone down in price. And it spikes a little bit of a... They might think, oh, someone else will go for that. It will tell them 40 other people are watching it as well. So... But it will all come with a bit more experience with doing it. I used to... Yeah, if I hadn't had a message on a car in a week, I'd slash like 200 quid off the price straight away.
Yeah.
And I would never consider doing that now.
Do you know, I remember when I first started and I hadn't sold a car for like a month and I rang up another trader. I was like, I've had this car for 4 weeks. Why have I not sold it? And he just started laughing at me on the phone.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's training your brain, Mark. That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're also the weather impacts on me as well. I mean, because my cars are outside, and I
Yeah,
can't remember who was saying about it the other day. It might be Nick. Was saying obviously where I am, I've got fields all around, and then you get the dust over the cars, and so I kind of then just prepping the cars. I'm sure it was Nick who said it. The insides are immaculate, and then it's just literally if I know I've got because I go on appointment basis only. If I know I've got somebody coming around at 1 o'clock, I'm out there in the morning, and then the car's cleaned, and I'm running out of covers. Put the covers over the car so it's
yeah.
ready for them to come. But I mean, I religiously look at the weather every day, and I kind of go right today, tomorrow, Wednesday, it's going to pour down with
Again,
rain,
this to
and if I
be
get a car in, I
This
can't
is
be out
what
there
we used
polishing
to
it.
be like.
we get carried away. Me and Dave will say when we've got more stock like that in the cars.
You don't even think
I've
about
got a
it.
beach like 100 meters that way, and you get all the sand come over, all the dust, and all that sort of stuff. Someone turns up and the car's filthy. It's great if it looks great.
Yeah,
Sometimes we'll know someone's coming that afternoon, and we just don't have time to get round to cleaning it
Yeah,
still.
yeah,
And you'll be like, "Look, I'm sorry, we're in a dusty area.
yeah,
Um, we've been really busy, but obviously you still do you can still view it.
I had
We'll
three
clean it up for you. We'll do all this. You can kind of spin it. It's because we've been so
yeah,
busy selling other ones and whatever.
yeah.
I had three black cars to sale, and at the end of my garden's a field, and the combine harvester decided he was going to combine the field, and it literally everything,
Yeah. I mean
the
that.
whole garden, all the cars scraping it off the cars, and then they turned up and they were like, "Come and look at this Golf or whatever it was," and I'm
Yeah.
like that. Oh god, they bought it, but rightly as you
Exactly.
say,
I think sometimes we
Yeah.
got ones that are on the front, right on the front next, like literally separate from the road by a pavement, and they get covered in all the kind of road grime and dust and everything. And you get someone who turn up to view it, and it's like a bright yellow car, and it's covered in, and it looks like brown. It's horrible. But there's never. I think it's interesting with people who start out, they sort of really want everything to be really perfect. And it's funny,
Perfect.
isn't
Yeah.
it? What a bad reputation car dealers get. But they all want everything to be perfect, and it's a part that they've got an emotional tie to it. I think at that stage. But I will then be like, look, the car's filthy. It's on the road here. We've been flat out. Give me 2 seconds. Come in, have a cup of coffee, sit down, whatever. I'm going to just chuck it in the car wash quickly, and then you
yeah.
can have a look at it when it's looking a little bit better. And then
And
I
like
think,
as
yeah,
well, people would prefer to see as well on your pitch, so to speak, a load of cars there rather than two, because everyone goes, "Oh, is he shutting down? Is he going bankrupt?" Don't
yeah,
if you see a pitch that's got no cars on, you're always like, "God." But again, in the beginning, you do over prep the cars massively, and I
Oh,
do find that people prefer to buy from people that are busy, So, like we've said before on the podcast, if you can get two appointments, get them come at the same time because it
same
makes you look
time.
busy. People love to buy from busy people.
Then you
yeah.
can just deal with one and leave the other one doing that instead of hanging around.
That's it. And
Yeah.
oh god, it's
Oh,
like this all the time. We're just so busy all the time, and it just fills people with confidence.
I mean, for me, I just don't really get involved. So if I'm stuck and I've got to get involved with sales, which I don't really do so much now, but it'd be like, let me get you the keys, go out there, fire it up, play around with the radio, do whatever you want, try it out. If you want to go for a test drive, come back in, grab one of us, and we'll go and do it. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, they'll go out and do that. They'll want a test drive. I'll grab one of the valeters and be like, go out for a test drive with them. And I'm missing out because that's like a selling opportunity when you're doing the test drive and stuff like that. But again, I'm just like, I'll have to get the valeter to come with you because we're busy or whatever. I don't think it hurts us ever. And I think
No.
there's an element if you turned up to your cars look great. I'm just looking at the pictures. But again, if you turn up and the cars are like perfect and they're there, sort of, as one person and they're waiting for you, and you sort of come out like, how's it going? How's the thingy? And you feel a bit like almost, I don't know, a bit almost awkward in a sense. I
You
would.
do,
Anyway.
you do.
So I would still be of the element like, just look around it, whatever, no pressure whatsoever. I'll be inside on the computer.
Yeah,
As soon as you're done, come
That's
and give me a
exactly what I
shout.
do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the
It's,
way these days. I can't remember who said it, and it might have been on your podcast, Dave. Or I don't know, but it kind of stuck with me that the way car sales are now these days, everyone knows what they want usually online. If they turn up and
yeah,
they've seen the car online, they've
yeah,
seen the video, they've seen everything. If they turn up and it's the way they're expecting it to be, they're going to buy it,
yeah.
and you're there basically to be
Guide them.
well, yeah, and to be like a facilitator, offer
Yeah,
them card payment or finance. You can offer them an extended warranty. You're someone to call if anything goes wrong in the first few months, and you're going to clean it and polish it for them before they collect it. You're not really having to even sell it. It's just they've looked at it, they've decided on it. If it's good when we get there, it's good. So yeah, hands off
I think I'm
approach.
quite a good
That's my
judge of
theory.
characters. I mean, when you're coming round, and I say I do have a lot of the mum and dads coming round with the 17 or 21-year-old. And when the guys are coming around, I think there's nothing worse, especially if I go and buy a car, I'm buying one privately. You've got that person just standing there and they follow you all the way
Yeah.
around the car. And I'll lift the bonnet for you and I'll start it for you. And like, no, 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 let me just look at this first and look at that. And they lifting the bonnet up and they're firing it up straight away. And you kind of go, no, I didn't want you to start it yet. I want to test that. So when
Mm.
I get people come around, I kind of go, right, I'll give you a history of the car, give you an overview of the car, are you car orientated? Do you know really what you're looking at? If not, I can give you some guidance, give you some help. But otherwise, here's the keys. Push, poke, start it up. No, they can't go anywhere. All the gates are shut. Take your time. If you're still happy at that point, you can either go for a test drive or we can look at some paperwork. And if you're happy at that point, you're buying the car. If you're not, then
Yeah.
nice meeting you.
Um, let's have a quick look at your notes and see if there's anything I've forgotten. Sourcing stock, leap of faith to changing the type of stock, which, like I said, I think you just try introducing a few more bits in, maybe just even trying the same stuff, but it's got a bit more mileage on it or something.
What about for me? Not now, or maybe further down the road with finance. You'd like to your close brothers and stuff like that. Is
Yeah,
it a minefield?
Nah, I won't worry about that now.
yeah,
Not,
you're not going to
not,
get an
Yeah,
not till
overview.
up to like 20, 25 cars. Then, then,
right.
then I'd look into that. And especially with
Or
the
higher value.
the cars you're selling, you're just not going to do that much finance with them, are
Especially if it's
No, my
a
sweet
bank of mum and dad and stuff.
Yeah,
my sweet spot is between 5 and 10, or 5 and 12, and that's what people have got, and they just do a straight bank transfer, and it's easy.
I would say, and as a general rule for anyone who's watching or listening, if you're starting out and you don't do finance and you're thinking about should I do finance, if you're not getting asked for it on a regular basis, it's going to cost you more than you would ever
yeah,
make from it. Because
Right.
FCA bend me over and just do like unspeakable things to me every year when it comes to the bills. It's like, we think you've done this much business, or you tell them how much you might have done, and they're like, so that bill's 800 quid. And then they send you little emails that I miss because I'm so busy, and they're like, yeah, we're fining you 250 quid for that, and we're this. And it's like, oh bloody hell, you got to fill out forms for them every, attest all your company information every year. And then obviously you've got to deal with all your finance reps. And once you've got a finance rep, he's going to keep swinging around like, well, you haven't done very many, have you?
yeah.
No one's
Yeah.
asked for it. I can't really force them into it. Oh, well, try. Sort of thing. So yeah, I would hold on. I mean, no one was asking me for it, and I still don't do a huge amount. I don't. I know
I
you've
don't.
been doing more, haven't you?
It's a feast and a famine. It's a feast. Like last 2 months, we've done 7 grand of finance commission, which is amazing. But 6 months previous to that, it was like minimal. So, and we are selling like more expensive cars. So like in this first time driver market, I just wouldn't even put any of my brain energy into it. Your
No.
energy needs to go
Okay.
into buying cars. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I mean,
absolutely.
if you think finance is going to be an obstacle, tell them to go to Car Finance
Yeah.
24/7 or
Mm.
Match Me Car Finance or something, um, and they can broker it on their end, and you're out of it. You just get paid quickly.
What I do is maybe charge an admin fee or something for people. I don't know.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that on another video, another cast. It was about the admin fees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Technically, you can't charge them specifically for finance. You can't pick and choose. It has to be every car or not. But I think the reason I sort of said it is because sometimes you get like the likes of Zuto and whatever phone up and say, "Oh, do you charge an admin fee?" And because they want to charge you an admin fee,
Yeah.
basically. So if you say, "Oh yeah, I got £100 admin fee," they say, "We normally charge 300 quid and we wipe it out." So I just say, "No, we don't. If you don't," which probably technically you're not allowed to say, but we don't charge an admin fee. But I
Yeah.
certainly am not paying an admin fee either. So
Yeah. At the minute, you just need to
I
get the
wouldn't worry.
sales in. That's it.
Yeah,
I
Don't
just
worry
need to
about
get the
all this
stock
other.
in, but that's the bit I'm just struggling with, Dave. And I say I've been doing the auctions, and again, this is where I might put it in that original request to come on. is that leap of faith. It is buying that first car
Yeah.
and realizing, I haven't bought a dud one, and it is going to happen, but we all know that. But it's that leap of faith of just getting the
Yeah.
small motors in. But I was just worried about the mileage and the owners, and would it put people off? And then, am I going to do a leap of faith of buying 4 or 5 cars out of the auctions with 70,
just
80,000
just
on them, and they're
try
not
just
going to
try one or
sell?
two to start and see how you get on. You probably
Yeah.
well, I mean, you've said it yourself, really, to be honest, Mark, because you said you sold your friend's Cougar on 120,000 miles, and it
Yeah.
slipped out your hands before you even had a chance to
Yeah,
finish
it
the advert,
did.
pretty
Yeah,
much.
Exactly.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
and the great thing with it that auction house being 40 minutes up the road is you can probably afford to pay them the £100 or whatever it will be to have them delivered straight to you, so you can be on site at all times. The cars are
Yeah.
going to turn
Oh,
up because
I've got
probably
two
at this point,
methods there. I've got a retired 83-year-old father who's my chauffeur,
yeah,
who
There you
will
go.
who moans every mile, but he'll take me to anywhere to pick a car up or bring it back. And my brother's got a trailer, and I've got one of those Ford Ranger Seeker things you did a video on, with a
oh
tow
yeah,
bar on the back,
yeah.
and I can put one on the back of there if it's a long distance.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, great. Yeah, you've probably got the time at the moment, but when it gets to any point, I think, I mean, my advice would be if it gets to a point where he's thinking, oh, I need to nip up and get that car, but I'm not going to be able to get it, or I'll have to wait till later in the week because whatever I'm busy with, just get them delivered.
Yeah.
And
Get the money and get it
it's
delivered.
£100 or whatever like up the road at Mannheim would cost you, probably £100 ish plus VAT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not good.
Just get
Yeah,
it because again, time is money.
yeah,
Let's get them in. Let's get
absolutely.
them
And
out.
the other thing is, Joe, if he gets 5, if you buy 5, the delivery will be like, it's like flipping 70%. It'll be like 60, 70 quid. So the more you buy, the cheaper the delivery is.
Yeah.
I used to buy loads from Northampton, and it cost us about 70 quid a car from Northampton to Chesterfield if we bought 5.
Yeah.
Northampton BCA, they're still remote only, aren't they? You can't. Is there any plans for them to actually go back to
They're doing the
physical
odd
week?
one. They are doing the odd one, but I don't think they're going to go
Yeah.
back to doing them. Well, they are doing them regularly, but we're talking like one site every couple of months, maybe. So
Yeah.
Right.
it's not really. I mean, still the majority of my stuff. Well, not the majority, but maybe a majority of my stuff comes from BCA still. But I've got. I
And
mean,
G3's in Bedford for me. That's quite local.
yeah. Well, that's a good one. That's a really good one to
Yeah.
go and have a walk round and check everything out because they'll let you get in the cars and fire them up and whatever.
Yeah, to that one. And I think when I applied, and I think it was only last week or something, there was something like a £500 deposit you have to put down, which I
Well,
think
if
you get
you're
Yeah, if
not
refunded
you're
on your
new.
first car.
I think if you're new or you're not registered, maybe for your first sale. I mean, did you register for a business account or like a personal one?
Business account.
Oh, okay. Maybe they just for the first one. So I had someone else saying, "Oh, you got to pay a £500 deposit," and I was like, "Yeah, well, you get it back if you don't buy
I
anything."
know, yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, but if I'm buying four a week, that's £2,000," and I'm like, "Huh? No, just
It's just when you go and you
give
get
them."
it back.
They probably don't even
It's
take the
just
money out of
that
your account.
first
It's probably
hit
like
on
a
the first
pre-charge type
500
thing.
then.
Yeah.
What's
They're
that?
not going
Sorry.
to do me £500 every time for every car.
No,
It's
no, no,
£500.
no. I'm sure they won't. It's just it's like when you hire a car, isn't it? And they like probably just pre-charge your car, don't actually take anything. It's just so you don't do something stupid like new auction people do, and they put their hands up for something, and then when it drives off, it smokes a bit, and they panic and then just run away. You know,
Yeah.
they're having you £500 basically. But for any other reason, you're having your money back. So yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't let that put you off at all. And
Yeah.
yeah, you'll be able to go down there. That'll give you a bit of peace of mind when it comes to auction stuff because beyond going to most auctions where you just see them go through the auction hall, there at Bedford specifically, because they're not doing live auctions at all,
Yeah.
you can get in them, fire them up.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, because normally you have to wait for the lights of man on that for the guy to come along, start it up, and then you get those few minutes of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is their whole thing at
I
the
didn't
moment.
know that with
They're
G3.
leaving
I
the
didn't know
keys
that you
out.
could sit in them and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And another good one,
Oh,
what
okay.
Nick said the other day, and what I do. We're giving away too many tips here, though, but BCA Manheim, they have buy it nows, the ones that haven't hit the provisional. So with
Yeah.
BCA, personally, I would never sit on the internet bidding for a car. I would either leave my proxy bids or I would go and check the buy it nows and see if there was anything there that took my fancy. So for
Right.
example, there was an Eco Sport a couple of years back, and on the report it said, clutch not engaging. So I thought, well, it must be the clutch. and it was at a good price. Thought, how much? I put a clutch in for 300, blah blah blah, and bought that on the buy it now, and that saves you a lot of time. That buy it now, but you have got to
Yeah,
buy the
yeah,
cars
no,
that have
you're
got a
right.
little bit of problems with them.
Right. Okay. No, brilliant, brilliant. Hence why I wanted to come on the podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean personally, yeah, for me as well. Not so much at the moment, but like Dave's saying there, if you say you've got contacts for mechanical stuff and bodywork and whatever. If I know I've got a bodywork man, then it's like, well, do you know what? If that car represents, an extra 50% of margin even after I've paid the body man, and I've got quite a lot of stock at the moment anyway, but I've got a bit of money kicking around, I'll have that and it'll go to the body shop because I know that in 14 days' time at most, that'll be coming back to me as a car that's ready to go. So you can have some of those on the back burner. It's not taking that space on your forecourt or pitch either. So
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think as well
yeah, I do look at those.
so a great person for you to mould yourself towards is like Nick, who was on the other. 'Cause he's got a similar setup to you. You know, he's got space for 9 cars at home. He stores some.
Yeah, yeah. I believe I watched that one
Lovelycars.com.
last night. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been doing it for like 20 years. That's what you need
I
to be
also
aiming for.
thought Theo Cook was really good as well. That was kind of where he's talking about him and his dad and the kind of cars I wanted to be selling. I kind of found that quite inspirational when I was watching,
Yeah,
what he was talking about and what he did, and he had
yeah,
another
I mean,
pitch half
yeah.
an hour
Here's me
down the
and Dave
road.
saying, that doesn't work. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but the low mileage, low
yeah.
owner
It doesn't
kind
make
of
our bum hum, does it, Joe?
no, but also, but if it is working for you, then don't listen to us idiots.
Exactly.
You got to do what Don't
Exactly.
buy in German stuff and have it sit there if that's what, because it is all regional. It is all
Yeah.
dependent on whatever. But
Everybody's
Well,
different.
I need to do something. I need to do something, and it's been okay for the last 9 months. It's paying the salary at the end of the month, nothing compared to what I was on, but it's paying the bills. But I need to be stepping it
depends how
up.
much drive you've got for it. If you've had your redundancy and you enjoy doing it and you don't want to add too much stress in because there will be more stress that comes with it, or if
Mm.
you have the passion and drive to make it bigger, then great. But if not, you don't have to get bigger at all, do you?
Well, that's the idea. Yeah, the drive's there. I'll never be, big as you guys, but to the point of where I'm comfortable and I have got 12 cars sitting there and, I'm busy every day and it is turning over, then that's the dream job for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
Well,
looking at also
set
putting
the
some more
goals then,
money into
or
the
I'll set the
account.
goals for you, and again, we'll catch up with you in 6 months. You got to, pop the cherry and get something from the Mannheim,
Yeah.
Northampton, or whatever it is.
Something with over
Uh,
80,000 miles on the clock.
yeah, and have at minimum half a dozen cars in stock
Yeah.
all the time. I mean, I think that's an achievable goal. If you've got 3 in at the minute, you've got space for 15. Let's have a minimum of 6. Like that's your bedrock.
I'd say I'll have 6 by the end of next week. You can do that.
Yeah,
Easy.
yeah.
I'll
Of
let you
course you
know.
can. You could do it today.
No,
I'll let,
if anyone's got that type of car and they want to sell it, Mark's your man. I'll put the details on the screen when this comes out.
thank
Yeah.
you very
Well,
much. Absolutely.
Was there anything else you wanted to ask before we kind of wrap this up?
No, no, guys. It was just a thank you, really, for you guys and your videos and your podcasts and stuff. There were times to talk about mental health and stuff, but I have been kind of sat here thinking, have I done the right thing? And I'm lying there at night and everything else. And then when you watch the videos and stuff, you kind of go, I'm not on my own. I'm not the only one. I thought it was just me. And then when you see that, and then by watching these, you kind of go, oh, I'm all right. Gives you a boost. It's not just me doing it, sitting here on my own. So yeah, the videos, and it was just a thank you. The videos and everything have been really helpful.
You're most welcome. Glad to hear it. As we were saying, we're not really. Well, I wouldn't consider myself an expert. Dave's got a lot of experience, having talked to a lot of other experience, but having a sort of this, I think I just enjoy the sounding board and like it's something that I would have loved. I think when I was starting out, to being able to just
Oh,
bounce the
oh,
ideas around and whatever. So
I don't really know any other traders. I know mechanics, I know body people, body work guys and stuff like that. And they've all got an opinion, but don't sell any cars. They're all experts, but what you want to be doing is this, that, and you can't. Yeah, all right,
should try starting a YouTube channel. Everyone will give you loads of advice then.
okay. But now you could actually talk to like a mentoring group, and it's been really helpful. Thank you.
No
Because
problem.
when we started, Joe, you just had like the Auto Trader Oh God, what was it?
Oh, the forum.
Forum. There was an Auto Trader forum, and it was literally that, and that was the best thing ever. So in a way,
Yeah.
Mark, like we're all really lucky now to have this sort of like network of people to listen to.
Well, for me, it was the car dealer forum. I don't know if I ever told you this, Dave. If we could probably go back on the car dealer forum now and look at like the messages, because when you started, exactly what Mark said echoed for your podcast when you started that. Because I remember you were posting that on the dealer forum. You'd be like, "I've just done a new podcast type thing and whatever," and I was on there like, "Oh, these are great. I'm really enjoying them." And then Dave sent me a private message, and the title was podcast, and I was like, "He's going to ask me to come on. He's going to ask me to come on." And he's like, "Here's my latest episode," and I was like, "Oh, okay, fair enough."
I remember that. Well, why didn't you say, "Oh, come on"? Why didn't you say like, "Oh, can I come on"?
Well, do you have like imposter syndrome? I guess I didn't think I was worthy.
I
Everyone else
remember
is doing
that.
it better than me, probably.
I know. I don't know why I didn't ask you because I asked everybody else.
Well, do you know what? I wasn't all that like active on there.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
your thing was BM Motors, wasn't it? Was it BM or what was your handle on there?
I can't remember.
Mine was just David Gott, wasn't it? Yeah.
Mine might have been like Nitro Joe or something.
Nitro Joe.
Because
Nitro
a
Joe.
big cash man.
But
God,
how good are them forums? Like they really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Facebook things and whatever now and whatever, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll leave it there. Where tell us where everyone can find you, Mark, and
Okay. Bella Autos Limited or bellaautos.co.uk. And then Facebook, it is just Bella Autos Ltd Limited. Instagram is Bella_Autos_Ltd.
brilliant. Thank you very much for coming on. We will catch up with you perhaps in 6 months and
Look forward
see
to
you
it.
getting on.
Yeah. Lovely.
Thank you
meeting
so
Mark.
much.
All the
Thanks,
best,
guys.
mate.